Hey, what's going on, beautiful jellyfish? It's Tracy. Thanks for hanging out. Just wanted to show you really quick. I'm wearing my On Wednesdays We Wear Pink shirt. And you know what's funny is I bought this shirt and my mom was like, that's such a waste. You can only wear it on Wednesdays. And I was like, nah, Mom, it's fine. And it's proven to really be like, it's Wednesday and I'm wearing it. And I haven't worn this shirt in like months. So turns out my mom's correct and I should have listened to her. Also sitting here with my tea, throwback to my college days. Who's been an OG like jellyfish follower who's been hanging out with me in my college days, where I would literally sit in my dorm room with my horrific background. Why did y'all follow me back then? God, this is a significantly much better background. Anyways, that was a really, really long intro. But we're going to be talking about EDH cards under $1 part 3. So obviously I've already done part 1 and part 2. Only talk about 10 cards in this video because otherwise I have so many tabs open. Oh my gosh. What's going on? Okay. What did I do? I like opened up a new Chrome tab. I'm so confused. Okay. About past Tracy. Anyways, so I am, as implied, there will definitely be parts 3 and parts 4. I think parts 4 and 5, I think I already have part 4 planned out, so that'll be coming in a couple of months. But I basically do these videos to talk to people who are like, EDH is expensive, and I'm like, there are some cheaper alternatives. Now, I kind of just want to give the disclaimer is, if you're playing at a really high power level in your EDH group, where people are like trying to kill you on turn 3, some of these probably not the best alternative. If that's the case, you kind of need to spend a little bit more money. But if your power level is similar to mine, where, you know, I've played games in my play group where I've died on turn 5. It's happened. Like, it's just a thing. But for the most part, our games span, and we have really quality games of EDH. So a lot of these are pretty solid alternatives. So, and all of these, like I said, are $1, like pretty much on the cusp of $1 or under. So, and there's a variety of colors and a variety of cards for a variety of decks. So, hashtag variety. Let's get into it. The first card is Disentomb. Okay, so there are a lot of recursion type cards that are kind of expensive, and some of the recursion type cards put them on the battlefield. However, Disentomb just puts it back into your hand. However, it's only 1 mana for that, and this card is really strong. I have the other recursion cards in Tassiker that put them on the battlefield and things like that, and those cards are really strong too. However, this card is also very strong. I do really like this card a lot. And, it's really pretty in foil. Like, you can get this foil. The regular card is like 10 cents and the foil is like 30 cents, and it's really pretty. So, this is a really strong card to pick up. I play this in like all of my recursion type decks, and I really like it. And it's cheap, which is the best part. And the foil is cheap. That's the best part, is when the foil is cheap, right? Right? Okay. The next card is one of my favorite board wipes, which is, I have so many favorite board wipes, is Hour of Revelation. Guys, this card is really strong. Basically, this card reads 3 mana, destroy all non-land permanents. This card is so good. I feel like I don't see anyone play it. It is so good. Like, you're going to have, there's gonna be 10 or more non-land permanents. Like, obviously, if you play regularly in EDH, it's like, I pretty much always play EDH with like 4 people. So it's like, there's gonna be 10 permanent. Is it 10 permanents or non-land? Sorry, 10 or more non-land. It doesn't matter. There's always going to be 10 or more non-land permanents. This is such a good board wipe. I really like this card a lot. Okay, this is the card that's on, like, the cusp of, like, it's a little bit over $1, but it depends on, like, shipping or things like that. But Swords to Plowshare. So, this is kind of one of those cards that's, like, if you're, like, Swords to Plowshare versus, like, a more expensive card, Path to Exile, basically. I personally play both because I had Path to Exiles left over when I played Modern, so I like having both, but if you can't afford Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshare is like $1, and who cares about them gaining life? Like, you don't care. Like, that doesn't matter. I think some people see this and they're like, I don't want my opponents to gain life. Well, like, well, duh, but like, it doesn't really matter. This card's really strong. It's only 1 mana, and you need this type of removal in your deck. Speaking of removal, the next card is Acidic Slime. This card does a lot of different types of things. I really like Acidic Slime. It's a little bit high on, like, the mana cost wise, I would say, but you're left with a Death Toucher, which I really like, and it destroys artifact, enchantment, or land, which I'm not a fan of, like, land destruction, but if they have, like, a land that's, like, really threatening, like, I can't think of any lands that are, like, Gaia's Cradle or something like that, that was, I think one of my friends owns a Guy's Cradle, so it was, like, not a good example, but, yeah, like, Acidic Slime just destroys a lot of different types of stuff, and, it's got Death Touch, so this is a really, really strong creature, and it's, like, super cheap. It's, like, 50 cents. Okay, the next card is a board wipe in red, and this card is Chain Reaction. I think Chain Reaction is a pretty good card. I'm not like head over heels like, oh my god, this card's amazing. Like, I do think that this card is strong. It's a little bit situational, to be honest, but then again, you're playing red, so you're not getting, like, a Wrath effect in, like, this is the Wrath effect in red kind of thing. You know, they're not more streamlined, like, white is, like, this does this thing kind of thing. But, I do think that this card is pretty strong. I've definitely had this card go off and be really, really good. I like it. It's a good inclusion in, like, a lot of red decks. Speaking of whiteboard wipes. Play of the game. So this is a card that I was talking about that if your play group is really quick, I don't recommend this card, but if you're playing in kind of like the mid to like, I don't know what the word is, like not as competitive like type of groups, this card's really strong. It's a really good political card. Most of the time I just hard cast this card and you may be like, that's a little crazy, but to be honest, you run mana acceleration and things like that and mana rock, so it's like, it doesn't really, you know, it doesn't really matter so much for casting it for like 8 mana. Sounds kind of crazy, but this is really good. It's exiling all non-land permanents, which is really strong and really important, so I really like this card. Okay, I don't know like what my original thought process for including this on this list was, but apparently Broken Bond. I like this card. I think most of the artifact or enchantment removal in green is like particularly pretty cheap. I would say for the most part, like a lot of those types of spells are really cheap. One thing I really like about Broken Bond, however, and I think this card is not as well known, is it's like basically just a better version of Naturalize. I'm pretty sure Naturalize might be an instant, actually. This card is a sorcery, I will note, but I really like this card in my Omnath deck, and this is like the only card like deck that has it. But I really like this card. I think it's really important to have cards like this in addition to those creatures that enter the battlefield, like Acidic Slime that we talked about earlier. Like, it's important to have both, because if there's some sort of thing that stops creatures from entering the battlefield, which some people do play, this is a really good card to deal with that. And you get to put a land. Like, overall, I think this card is honestly, like, pretty great value. Like, you get to do 2 things for 2 mana, which is really strong. One, you get to destroy something, and the second, you get to put a land. Like, I think this card's great. So, speaking of mana acceleration, mana rocks, and the like, there's a lot of really, really expensive ones, but one that I really like and I think is really strong is Darksteel Ingot. This card is, like, on the cusp. It's, like, basically $1, might be a little bit over, but this card is really strong. It's indestructible, so it gets by board wipes, which, honestly, you might be playing a game where someone does, like, Hour of Revelation or something like that, and you're like, cool, like, my mana accelerations are gone, but Darksteel Ingot gets by that. It doesn't come into the battlefield tapped. It is 3 mana, but I think the kind of trade-off with it is, 1, it adds any color to your pool, which is really strong in multicolored decks, and 2, it's indestructible. Overall, it's a good mana acceleration. Speaking of mana accelerations, we're also, as a whole, going to talk about the Signet cards. Now, I am fairly certain, I haven't looked up all the Signets because there's 10, but I'm fairly certain that all of them are $1 or under. I think these cards are really strong. I like them a lot. They're really, really good in 2-color decks. I guess you could do them in, like, 3. I don't know, I feel like it gets a little jank when you're running multiple decks, because if you're running, like, 10, if you're running 5-color, then you're running, like, 10, that just kind of seems like a little bit, like, that's, like, 1/10 of your deck is dedicated towards, like, these mana accelerations, which I guess is fine. It's just, they're more, I feel like there's better things to kind of do in that place. But anyways, I really like these cards. You pay 1 mana for them, and you get 2 into your pool that are in your colors, which is really good. There's not a lot to say. They're really strong cards, and they're cheap. And the last card, I think we're ending on a really good note, because I love this card, which is Curse of the Swine. This card is so underrated. I honestly think that people, like some sets, people just, like, don't think about the cards that come out of the sets, and they just, like, don't even think about them. And I think Theros as the block is pretty much just that block for a lot of people. I really like Curse of the Swine. For a lot of reasons. So I was playing, like, I think I had this card in Merfolk, and I remember, like, playing Curse of the Swine, and I was like, I remember, like, being in a situation where I was like, oh my god, like, I really need to, like, exile things. And then I, like, got Curse of the Swine, and I was like, this'll do it. Like, it just does so many things. You give them 2/2s, you literally don't care. Whatever you're exiling is significantly more threatening than a 2/2 that you're giving them. Doesn't matter. The flavor of this card is really strong. I honestly kind of want this card to like get a reprint, like not because it's expensive, but because I just want more people to know about it. Like, it's a really good card. Like, in my opinion, this should be in every single blue deck, and I think I've seen me and my friend Logan run this card. I haven't seen like anyone else run this card, and I don't know why. This card is super strong. Like it a lot. Guys, that's it. That is it for 10 cards under $1, kind of like at the brink of $1 and under. I hope you like this card. Let me know if you run any of these cards, or if any of these were like new to you cards, like cards that you may have not heard of before, or cards that you like definitely want to pick up. I think that was everything I had to say, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.